Hello, my name is Roya, and I'm going to be talking to you today about my favorite book couples. First on the list is Migire and Liezel from the Noble Dead series by Barb and J.C. Hendee. These two are a really awesome couple because they are each really good characters by themselves, but also they each kind of have different flaws that balance each other out. Start off as colleagues more than friends, also, because they basically run this weird scam together to get money from poor village people in villages that don't understand anything. They don't really become friends more than colleagues until after they stop doing that, and the plot of the book really um, gets into other stuff, and they just go through so much shit together, and they learn about each other, like their pasts together and each other's pasts, um and they're just there for each other where when nobody else is. Next on the list is Four and Triss from Divergent. I honestly didn't expect to like Four as much as I did in the books because I saw the movie first. I really like Four. I think he's a really awesome character, and he is sort of hiding a nicer aspect of himself than he shows to anyone, but Triss finds it anyway. And in a way, she's hiding part of herself too. Next on the list is Mara and Noah from the Mara Dyer series. It was so good together that when they spend even a couple chapters apart, you kind of feel bad. Like, oh, it's not as good without both of them in it, but it's also more suspenseful because you kind of wonder, like, oh, what are they going to do to save each other? And there are parts where you think that one of them is going to have to die, or if one of them is dead or something or anything like that. But every time that happens, it's almost heartbreaking. Like you kind of go, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do? They can't live without each other. They're so good for each other. Blah 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 blah. And actually, that's sort of the same way I feel about Triss and Four. Like if they have to spend a bunch of chapters apart, I kind of feel bad for them, and it makes it more suspenseful. And that's always a sign of a good couple when the fact that they have to be apart is actually adding to the suspense, like just by itself. And lastly, we have from the Dark Queen series, one of my favorites, we have practically all the couples, Ariane and Renard, Gabrielle and Remy, Miri and Simon, and Wolf and Cat. And basically the Dark Queen series is a more historical fiction slash fantasy-ish series written by an otherwise romance novel author, I mean. So she does a really good job with the romance aspect, and so we really feel what these characters feel for each other without it being a romance novel, because that's normally what she writes, is romance novels. I mean, in particular, Wolf and Cat, honestly, because um, Wolf actually spends the previous two books in love with Miri. And she picks Simon over him, which I was actually really happy about. He's like perfect for her, and they're a really awesome couple in that book. But then I kind of feel sorry for Wolf because he's such a good character. Like he deserves someone too. If everyone else in this friggin' series is getting somebody, like a few years later in the following book, he meets Kat, and she's such a badass. Like she's so much more perfect for him than Miri ever was. Oh my gosh. Like, she fights, she has an Irish accent, she's from Ireland, she drinks a lot, like, she swears, like, all her friends growing up were men, so she, like, really learned how to fight, and in a way that's sort of, like, a little bit like a light version of his upbringing, because he used to be a thief and all that stuff. I really like them, but honestly, I really like all the couples in the series because they have so much depth, honestly. You might wonder why there are no LGBT couples in this list since I'm such an LGBT person. I mean, anyone who knows me knows how big into, like, lesbian couples I am and whatnot, but really, all the LGBT books that I read or that I've read are kind of not focused as much on the couples aspect. Let's take Ask the Passengers, for instance. Even though Astrid is dating a girl the whole time, she's barely in the book. Like, she's not a big focus of it at all by herself. Just Astrid is. So they almost don't really count as like a couple. I don't really care that much about them as a couple because Dee is barely in the book. It's just about Astrid. Or, you know, the miseducation of Cameron Post. She never even gets together with anybody throughout the whole book. It's kind of just about her. Even, you know, my favorite LGBT book, Tell Me Again How Crush Should Feel by Sarah Farizan. Layla ends up with crushes on three different women, at least, throughout the book, technically. And really, the girl she does get together with is so outside of the focus, the LGBT plot, really, until almost the end. So we don't see them as a couple as much. So really, all the LGBT couples that wind up being my favorites are ones that aren't even canon. So stuff like Shay and Tally from the Uglies series, they don't get together. They might not even be gay. There's nothing, you know. I always thought they were so good together, and it's not fair. But my friends just always tell me like, okay, Roya, you are crazy. They have no anything linking them together as a couple. They're just friends, and I'm just like, oh, but they'd be so good together. I think they're a good couple, but they're not really a couple because it's not canon. And anyway, what are your favorite book couples? Let me know in the comments. I'm actually really curious. See you next time.